I'm waiting for Phoenix. I've got my ticket to the Phoenix event, but I'm waiting to book the hotel to after I see what the elections do because I'm kind of scared of what's going to happen there.
I don't think anything's. I mean, I don't think anything's going to happen. I really don't.
Well, that's one of the things we're going to have to agree to disagree on because I honestly think we're in for a world of hurt no matter which way it goes.
Well,
I hope I'm wrong.
We hate to talk about politics, but boy, that was horrible last night. You know what's funny is this is the craziest thing in the world is, and we use this as a business analogy here.
Right.
You know, we don't talk badly about our competition. You just don't do it.
Right.
But these politicians, for the last 53 years of my life, I've seen literally people win because the other guy was talking so negatively about the other guy, the negative publicity beat him. You know what I mean?
Right.
The guy talking badly about the competitor, the competitor got the seat. I mean, it's just it's mind blowing. And you would think that the one guy in this thing, the guy that's not the career politician, would know this. You know.
Well, and I gotta say, Lo, if he didn't turn around and say some of this, now I think he overstepped talking on Joe last night a lot. I know we don't want to make this a political debate, but the main thing that I think his point was, and I think it's anybody with half a brain's point, and I'm not trying to put anybody down, you got all these great ideas you want to implement, but you had 47 years in political office. Why weren't they implemented then?
So let's make this another sales thing. You're saying he should have shut up and let Joe talk.
Yes.
Because sometimes when you're in sales, what do you got to do? You got to let the customer talk.
Yep. And Joe would have buried himself last night. I mean, I think Trump was the winner out of the two of them, but I think the American public didn't win at all.
No. There's no doubt on it.
But let's get off politics because that.
Well, yeah. Let's do this. You know, the other day you made a video, and what was the point of that video that I loved? Oh, it was
vendors?
About what was it?
The one about vendors?
Yeah.
What
was a part of that video? Oh, about most of these guys always want to go beat everybody up on a price, but they want top dollar for what they want to charge, and they don't understand that we all have to cohabitate together. So if you have a good vendor and you want good service, you're going to pay for it.
100%, and that's just like I got a prime example of that. The other day I needed some computer work done, nothing major, just my computers cleaned out, stuff like that. And the guy I was using, I don't use anymore. I'm not going to get into that. So I needed a new computer guy to come out, clean my computers out, go through them, keep them updated, you know. So I called around, and one guy gave me a referral for this guy, and I called him up. I said, how much would you charge me to come out to my house or my office, clean 2 computers out, and told him what all I needed done. He told me, oh, I'll do it for $25. I hung the phone up. if you're willing to come out there, make a 15-minute drive to my house for $25 to clean 2 computers out, I'm kind of convinced right then you don't know what you're talking about. Called the next guy up. He told me
or that could be the bait and switch, right?
Either way, I wasn't.
He's going to come out. You need a drive that you don't need. Right.
At that point, I was done.
Yeah.
I called the next guy up. He said $125. I hired him to come out. He come out, done the job. Took him all 30 minutes. He made $125. Why would I be upset about that? I try to do the same thing in my business. You know, I want somebody that's going to value their time, and same thing goes with vendors. I mean, if they got a sale going on, I'm going to try to save money just like everybody, but I'm not going to call a vendor up and try to get free stuff or beat them up all over it, you know, because they got to make a living just like I do.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's, it blows my mind that there's people out there that don't translate these things. They all want it for them when they're selling their services. But when it comes time to go buy a service, you know, they're out there trying to be the $99 shopper, man, you know. I mean, you know. And
that's like one of the things I do at my house whenever I have somebody come out to do a service for me, like delivering rock for the driveway or something like that there. Anything I hire somebody to do, pull up in the driveway, first thing I do is hand them a tip before they even get started the job, because I know if I go to somebody's house and they hand me a tip, you know what? It's just natural human reaction. We're going to do more for that person.
Yeah.
That's how you get more out of somebody.
Yeah. I pre-tip a lot of times too. It's a very good thing to do, and 9 times out of 10 people don't even realize it. A lot of times it saves you some money.
Yeah.
It'll
Most definitely.
save.
Now I can't see no comments or anything, Ron, because I'm on the phone on this. So
Okay, well, we don't have any.
what? Nobody's interested in us yet?
Well, some guy said sleep. Well, we're back to the Sleepy Joe comment. Yeah, I'll put a couple of them up for you so you can see them.
Oh, that's all right. Don't worry about it.
Let him talk.
Yeah, he's talking about what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Joe Biden sucks. I agree with you, Darren.
Darren, he's cracking me up. Yeah, but you said some things that one of the other things was this, and I remember what I was talking about now. The other day you talked about, when we go out to a restaurant, we look at a menu and the steaks, $19.95. We don't hail the manager over and go, hey, I'll get two steaks. Can I get them for $11.95 each and the salad bar? We don't go negotiating that. And you said something about pricing, and I argue this with guys all the time, and I think you and I agree on this. Maybe we don't, but when you give somebody a price, be the price. Don't say I'm going to come down and try to meet lowball Larry or Chuck in a truck and bring the price down. That's such a distrust. If I'm a consumer and you tell me it's going to be $500 to install my toilet, and I got a guy saying he could do it for $100, but then I go, you know what? I'll do it for $299.
Yep.
Wait a minute, you were trying to rip me off.
You were trying to get 500 out of me originally, and I got it.
And of course I'm going to hire the guy for the $125 now. You just pushed the work. You pushed it right to him. Instead of trying to sell it at why I'm charging you this much money and why I'm giving you this service. And in the service business, in some respects, it's difficult to explain to people, that a service is worth more because you're buying time versus this iPhone right here. We all know we can't get them anywhere. They cost $1,000. You're not gonna get them any cheaper anywhere. That's what they sell for. And if a retailer can buy them for, less money, well, I'm going to buy because I know it's an iPhone. It's going to work and operate the same way. But the problem is when you get a service provider, and he's half price, you're only going to get half the job.
Ron, I was talking to a gentleman the other day that's a friend of my father's, and I'm going over this weekend to do some pressure washing for him. And I'm actually trading a boat for the services I'm offering. He's got a boat that he wants to get rid of. I'm not going to get in all that, and I'm trading him out. But we got talking about pricing and stuff. He's an older gentleman. He says, well, Joe, what would you normally charge to do these services? And I told him, I said, you don't want to know. I said, you couldn't afford it. He said, what do you mean I couldn't afford it? I said, I'm not trying to be. You're like me. I'm not my customer. I would not pay my price. And that's what I kind of look at. I'm not looking for people like me to do work for. The people I want to do work for don't want the discount. They don't want the $99 guy. They want the look for, when I'm out giving estimates.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I think service providers have a hard time getting the normal person to understand, you're not buying this iPhone.
Yep.
It's not going to operate the same. There's a huge difference between a service provider and another product, a Coke. We all know liters of Coke. We can take liters of Coke at 3 different retailers, and there's 3 different prices. Well, of course we're going to buy them at the price because Coke tastes like Coke, And if you buy the Coke, you're not going to get a half of a liter because you're buying a liter.
Right.
So if it's $3 cheaper, we're going to buy.
Think about this, Ron. And this, you're talking about Coke. Think about this. We go in a gas station and buy a 20-ounce soda, right? 20-ounce soda, we're going to say it costs $1.29 to $1.99, right? Now, the soda's is made up of water, sugar, and all these other ingredients. But you can go buy a bottle of water, just water, for $1.29 to $1.79. Same price as the Coke. Think about it.
Mhm.
It's all about, now it takes more stuff to make that Coke, but you can buy the same thing at just a bottle of water for the same price as what a 20-ounce Coke costs. And that's what we got to look at in our businesses. You can't compare your Coke to somebody else's water.
Yeah.
Stop. I see that all the time. Just if you got Coke, sell your Coke. Don't worry about the water. Don't worry about the other stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know, do you use cold water to clean a lot of stuff, right? Do you have heat? You don't even use
90% of the stuff I use cold water on.
Yeah, you have heat then.
Yes.
So when you got gum, when you got a lot of gum, you know, I want to dispel this, and you may agree, you may not agree. I can get anything. We use heat constantly, but
Right.
we can get anything just as clean with cold water. It's just that it takes longer and it's going to cost more. You know, I mean,
exactly.
I'm not talking about costing the customer. It's going to cost us more time, more chemicals. It's going to take, you know, it increases everything.
The only time that I've seen where hot water really, really comes in handy in my business with the stuff I do is car dealerships when I go on the inside in the bays and parking garages.
Mm-hmm.
That's the two times hot water is really, you can do it with cold water, but it's a necessity to have hot water.
Oh, it's more efficient. There's no doubt. It's more efficient. But I wanted to see this so if these guys are sitting here watching this, you know, they understand it. Hey, guys, Joe and I aren't going to be on very long, probably another 5 minutes. You guys got some questions here, man. I mean, Joe doesn't talk enough about his background, but I've been doing this for 35 years. He's been doing it for 20-some years. Joe worked for a company for umpteen years, and now you've been in business for what, about 4 or 5 years now?
I think I'm going on 5 years this year under my own.
5. We met like 3 months right after right when you remember you started in business. Yep. And then you're located in South Carolina, guys.
North Carolina.
North Carolina. I'm in Phoenix. I always think you're in South Carolina. I don't know why that is.
I'm right there at the state line, but we don't claim
Everybody's in South Carolina. That's why. I think Pat Clark in Greenville's got like 100 contractors, you know, in a town like 300,000. I think.
Yeah, they got some contractors down there in Greenville. That's got to be a tough
per capita, man. There's more.
And they got some good, you know, best part about like Pat Clark's area, they got contractors and they have some good quality contractors. I know quite a few of the Greenville guys, and there's one down there that's what I would consider a quality contractor. You know.
Oh yeah, yeah. I put this agreement up here, Joe, and I know you probably can't see it. It's an $1,800 cleaning for each station, and I just wanted to show these guys because a lot of these guys have these gas stations all the time, and they're like, "Oh, these gas stations only pay $300-400." I go. $300 or $400 is a maintenance program that's going to take you about 2.5 hours a month. Okay. And this here is an initial cleaning. This could take 8 hours on each one of the stations to clean them up.
It's Ron on that. Looking at what you got there. I have a shopping center that I do, and I won't say where it is or anything like that there because it's a good shopping center. But I do it for a property management company. It's a higher end shopping center. And what they want is the concrete cleaned every 3 months. Now, this is a big shop. They pay me $3,800 to do this every 3 months. I go out there. It takes me 1 night to 3 nights, depending on what all I do that time. And what people don't understand is once you get a property like that under control and you understand what you're doing on it, I'm not required to clean every bit of the concrete every time. I'm required to keep it to where if the owners show up at that property and look at it at any time, it looks good. And that's what I do. And that's where a lot of people screw up. They don't understand maintenance and stuff like that, like you were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's what since you're talking about that, a lot of people don't even understand, like when you talk about some of these government contracts, and I'm not going to use any specific one, but it could be anywhere from a shelter at a park or anything. You could have the agreement to clean, you know, all 175 parks in a place, and they're paying you to keep the shelters clean. And just like you said, if you go there and the shelter is clean and you just got to dust it off, you know, you move on. Here's a better one for you. In community management, they pay you to go check the dumpster areas. Okay.
Mhm.
If the dumpster areas don't need to be pressure washed, there's nothing that said you're pressure washing each and one every
You're
time.
maintaining them.
You're maintaining it. If you check the dumpster on that route and you sweep some little bit of debris in there and you don't think it needs to be pressure washed because pressure washing is not going to do any good, it's clean.
Right.
You don't clean it. And you're right, Joe. A lot of these guys don't understand that. Now,
And I do a lot on maintenance contracts through my commercial stuff, to where I'm going out to them every 2-3 months, and touching up stuff and keeping it clean. I'm not cleaning everything every time. I'm just making it to where it is clean at all times. If I go out there, it's the slightest bit dirty, I clean it. But if it's spotless, and we all know concrete in 3 month period is not most likely going to get filthy,
yeah,
then you do what you got to do and you move on.
you do. That's just what you do. And I think a lot of guys here don't know this. And I threw this thing up here because I want guys to understand that, if you ask for the initial cleanings, you can get the money. They're going to give it to you. But you got to do a little bit of education because it was John Castillo called me and he goes, he was telling me about a demonstration he did and sold about $60,000 worth a contract on a few gas stations that he's got. It's a pretty good gig he got. But he did a demo for the guy to seal the deal, which is what he got it. He actually did the demo and got it closed the next day. Mm-hmm. And the guy was so impressed with the demo. And the only reason he was impressed with the demo was the contractor had told him that he did not get the gum, which we know that's a cold water guy because he could, when it's petrified gum, they're going to tell the client, oh, that can't come up. And he got the deal. He got the entire deal because he could get the gum up. And the guy was impressed with it.
That brings up another subject I want to touch on, if you don't mind, just a second. One of the things I see that's a problem in this industry, we get a lot of guys that get into the business of pressure washing and window cleaning and gutter cleaning, doing all that stuff. And they know the services, but they're not very sure of running the business end of it. So what they end up doing is they turn to Facebook, they turn to social media, they turn to these different people to try to figure out whether they're doing right or wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, though, what you got to remember is it is your business. If you are happy with what's going on in your business, it don't matter what I think about it. It don't matter what Ron thinks about it. It don't matter what anybody else in the industry thinks about it. I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of stuff me and Ron disagree on. But his opinion does not run my business. My opinion is not going to run what he's doing. And that's something you guys got to start realizing. Stop worrying so much about what somebody thinks about you and start worrying about running your business. Because I think that's a major thing in our industry.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody, it's just like we everybody argues about soft wash, pressure wash, should we use this? Should we use that? What chemicals this? What chemicals that? That's what I did disagree with you. We got about 3 minutes, Joe, so I'm gonna give you the last minute. But here's the one thing that I did disagree with you, and I don't think we maybe disagree. Okay, I know for a fact you are correct. And the only soap I'm going to use, the name is Zep. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now I was in the plant where I saw 3 other brands. Okay, Zep was coming down the line, and then the next brand came down the line. The next brand came down the line, and you're correct. The only thing they were changing was basically they were changing the formula in the way of. One was lesser or one was stronger.
Right.
That's what they're doing. And then the color, obviously, because everybody wants a different color. Okay. So there are some differences, but at the day's end, you're right. Pretty much they're all very similar unless they were engineered for a specific thing. And there are chemicals out there that and we're not going to mention any chemical names because then we get plug-in stuff.
Right.
There are chemicals that are engineered that work better on transmission fluid.
Yeah.
There are chemicals that are engineered that work better brightening the concrete. And there are degreasers that are high alkaline and they work better on oxidation. And normally people wouldn't think you'd use a degreaser, but some of them are better. Some of them you can just wipe over the oxidation and the oxidation's gone. And some guys go, well, that's a trick. No, it's not a trick. Just like when the guy dips the silver into the, CLR, and then silver comes out, and and the spoon is, or the ring is
Right.
shining again. It's just a pH. It is a trick. It's a pH trick. Just like bleach changes the pigment in mold and mildew. It's not really clean, is it, Joe?
Well, bleach
No,
bleach is not actually a cleaner.
when you spray it on mold and mildew, it's not
Right.
clean. The mold and mildew is still there.
No, it still has to be taken off. It just
It
kills
sounds terrible, but the dead bodies are still there. I
Right.
mean, and people don't realize it's a live organism, and what you're doing is you're spraying sodium hypochlorite on it, and you're also changing the pigment, because we know they call bleach for a reason, right? It bleaches
Right.
out, and I think a lot of guys, the science in there, they don't understand, and I don't think you meant to do it, but in the video you were just basically saying all chemicals are the same. Buy the $2. I was laughing with my buddy Jeff May here. He calls this chemical $2 Chuck, because he literally has. This is the funny one. There's a chemical out there that's being sold right now for like $60 a gallon. The identical MSD sheet on the $2 Chuck, it's $2. $60 or $2.
And unfortunately, Ron, that is going on in our industry more often than not.
Yeah.
There are some great chemicals. I don't want to get into one brand or the other in our market that are worth the $40 or $50 a gallon. But there's also some shit that's being sold in our market that people it should be worth $40 or $50, and people are paying it, and they say, well, it makes me look professional compared to the stuff that I go and use. Well, the stuff that I go and use costs me $10 a gallon for pretty much the same mixture of some of these chemicals, not all of them. And it does just as good a job, and I've seen times where it actually does better. I am a minimalist when it comes to equipment, when it comes to stuff. I don't see the purpose of going out, burying myself in $30,000 in debt to do something that I can do with $10,000. Same thing with chemicals. I have seen some chemicals that I will use that are direct for our industry. But at the same time, a lot of these chemicals in our industry, if you actually do your research, you look at the MSDS sheets, you look at the active ingredients in them, are the same things across the board.
Yeah.
And it is what it is, because the honest truth, guys, there is not much money for vendors selling and making chemicals. They do not make that. That's why they got to charge $40 a gallon, because they can't sell the amount that Lowe's or Walmart or Home Depot can sell.
A lot of times, Joe, you're feeding like 3 people in that.
Right, exactly. So I get where the prices come from, but
because you got the manufacturer that actually blends it, then you got the owner of the chemical, then you've got his distributors, and then some of them now are creating contractor distributors. I mean, you're trying to feed 4 people, and you're the guy, and then you're the 5th guy. You own the chemical, so you're like, it's like, and you wonder, you just wonder. I often wonder sometimes, actually, how they're actually making any money, really.
Yeah.
I mean, they obviously are, because everybody and their brother's got a chemical. I'm surprised.
I'm
surprised there's no Joe Knows coming at you.
I tell you what I honestly thought about doing, and I don't want to become a chemical manufacturer. At one point, I really thought about getting the recipe for LA Awesome, getting it made and branded, because that's all you got to do is get it made, change it up just a little bit, brand it as your own, and go sell it because it's such a great product. But I don't want to mess with chemicals.
I don't think you got to do anything but go buy LA Awesome, slap a label on it, and go and sell it. Why go through all that trouble?
And you'd be surprised. I'm gonna give LA Awesome a shout out. You don't know how many times I've had contractors call me, Joe, I got oxidization on this. Joe, I got this. I've tried all these different chemicals. What would you recommend? Go to Dollar General and get some LA Awesome. What? Just try it. Call me back the next day. Joe, that stuff done works. I know it did. And it costs $3 a gallon.
I will say this without a lot of these guys get misinformed because they hear us talk about these $60 a gallon water. They're water. They're selling you water. Now, there are some chemicals out there. There's a ton of them. And you buy a $60 gallon.
Oh, I agree.
And that thing will make 3 55-gallon drums. And people don't know
and
that.
I could go into some of them that are great chemicals that I use.
Because what do? This is how they pour it out onto the surface, right out of the gallon. And they don't understand. You just poured a 55-gallon drum on the sidewalk,
Yeah.
because now when you add water, that was the dilution ratio. And it's like, and they don't understand also that the water itself was engineered to cause the thing to be high alkaline, and it's supposed to have a proper mixture of water in order for the surfactant to work properly.
Right.
And we could go into all sciences, and a lot of these guys don't get it, and they'll go, I put it on straight. Well, that's why it didn't work.
Exactly. And, when it comes to chemicals, and then we'll get off this subject, sometimes you're buying chemicals from manufacturers because of the support you get on how to mix it, how to use it when you do run into a problem. And that's the advantage of buying from a vendor. But I still say, just like anything in our industry, do your research, check the MSDS sheets out, check what's actually in the chemicals you're buying and you're promoting. Because some of them are not what they're claiming they are. Some of them are better than what they're claiming. But it's something you got to judge for yourself.
You have to. Well, I'm going to give my buddy Jerry a shout out here, man. I'm going to tell you right now, those vacuums, we lost one of those vacuums in a parking garage off the truck. It fell off the truck full. And I got the call from my son, and he goes, it was funny. He goes, Dad, he says, I destroyed this vacuum. And I go, what happened? He goes, it fell off of we were moving to the dump, and it fell off the tailgate. And he goes, he goes, I know you've had that thing for like 15 years. He goes, I know it's dear to you. But I said, I don't think it's going to work. That son of a gun, man, they emptied it, and that sucker, it's still working. It's working to the
you can't beat that.
Jerry builds some really good vacuum cleaners, and for the money, they're even better, because a lot of these guys spend, and I won't mention other products, they'll save $500, but they'll realize that they'll buy a vacuum a year, and I keep trying to tell them, I said, these things, man, and the funny thing is, Jerry's vacuum's been knocked off in the last 5 years by like 6 different people, but they still don't chemically treat it. They don't powder coat the inside. They're not
right.
If this was the other brand 15 years later, the drums would have been shot with continual water use in them. I mean, it's just, he really made these things like bulletproof. And he gets mad at me because I talk about his portable vacuums, because, I like, when I'm doing a job, I like to have that portable vacuum right there. I don't want to have the vacuum on a truck mount. This is my personal preference. Just having it on a truck mount, running 500 feet a hose to where we got to go. I love the idea that you can just plug it in. If you don't have a generator, you can plug it in right there. If you're using it inside of a garage or something like that, you got all kinds of power there. Plug it right in the wall. Do your business. Move it with your pressure washer. Boom, it's on a dolly. You got no issues. We use them where we use the portables at are these big. I don't know if you ever clean these aircraft hangars, man. I mean, inside, they're sitting 747s in these things.
Right.
So you know how big they are. They're ginormous, man, and they don't.
Ginormous, is that a new word?
Can you believe this? They didn't build them with floor drains, and it was for a reason. They don't want to have any type of spill going down the system off these jets if they were. And I was thinking to myself, okay, well, where does the thing go? They got a catch basin with a what is that called? At car washes, they have like the detention. It's like a detention area, but it doesn't go to any sewer system or any sediment pond or anything like that. It has to be hauled off if they have that happen. And so it's a pain in the neck to clean these things without having some type of a vacuum system. Hey, Joe, close it up. We got about a minute.
Pretty much, guys, just do you. Do you. Don't worry about what other people think about you. Don't worry about whether Facebook likes you, hates you. Don't worry about being popular. Just do you and be successful, and understand your level of success is not going to be my level of success. It's not going to be Ron's level of success. Just do you.
And that's one thing we agree at with these guys. That was the first thing, Joe, that brought me to you, is when you said that, because all these guys think that selling is some magical thing, and selling is just being yourself. If you are not yourself, you're the cheesy salesperson. and that's all that winds up being. And people can smell that a mile away. You know what I mean?
Most definitely.
You know, the guy calls, "Hey, I got some swampland. Is the owner of the house in? I'd like to talk to him." You know what I mean? That's and I know you have some pre-written skits. We all have some keywords and things that we do that will foster the sale. But man, when you get those telemarketers and it blows my mind. The old, and I know you're old enough to remember this, but the old ideology of we call them the IBM guys. Remember?
Yeah.
They'd be in the blue suits.
Yeah.
Everybody knew when they were coming in the office. Salespeople. You know what I mean? And that's what these guys all think. Oh, I got to go in there in a suit and tie. I got to go in there like this. No, you have to go in there showered, shaven, not smelling, and go in there with a decent shirt. It could be your.
Speaking of that, I think I need to take a shower today.
Preferably your company shirt. But I mean, you do not have to go into these places necessarily with a $3,000 Armani on. I mean, it's not gonna. It goes back to that thing where the guy says, "I show up in my Ferrari to give an estimate." If a guy shows up in a Ferrari to give me an estimate, I am thinking, man, he's too.
That's just like, I'm going to say this, and then we'll get off here, and you don't have to comment on this because you might not agree with me on it. I know there are coaches in our industry that wear suits and Rolexes and brag about their vehicles, and I'm like, you're talking to a bunch of pressure washers. I mean, what are you trying to impress? This ain't Fortune 500 companies. We're pressure washers. We're window cleaners. Get to their level if you want to help them out. But that's the last thing I got to say on that.
No, I don't disagree with you, Joe. And you know what? I'll tell you what. Let's do this. Let's throw this out there. Let's dedicate a show. Let's get a morning show going. We'll say on Wednesday mornings. I'll do this with you on Wednesday mornings. Next week, this is what we'll talk about. I'll put the B Live out. What time, Joe? Can you do this time again?
I'd like to say I can, but honestly, Ron, I'm going to need to get back with you on a time.
Okay, get back to me on a time. But here's the topic, and I got a great topic next week. We're going to talk about industry coaching, events, and conventions.
Okay,
I lost you.
There, Ron?
I'm here. I lost you.
I'll come through. But yeah, I'll be glad to want to talk with you about that.
All right, we'll do it. We'll do it next week. Hey, Joe, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it. Hang out with you if you can. Hey, guys, Ron Musgraves, guys, Pressure Washing Institute, guys. Hey, Mr. Pipeline sent me a brand new hat. It's pretty cool. It's got the stars on one side, stripes on the other side. I love it. Thanks a lot, John Majak. Appreciate you. Guys, we'll see you tonight. John Tornabene and Ron in Garage Cleaning. We're going to have Ty Schnell on tonight. Ty went from a bellman at a hotel at an event in 2008 right here in Phoenix, Arizona, for $1.5 million. And a lot of guys go, hey, have them show you their financial statements. Have them show you their tax returns. I have verified this. Ty has actually done this. We're going to talk about it with him tonight at 5 o'clock, pack time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We'll see you then.